You got one of these bad boys yet?
I haven't. Oh, yeah, I do.
Oh,
I do have one
you
of
just haven't
those.
been wearing it.
No, I have not. I never want to let them into my life.
You're lost. You're lost.
Oh, jeez.
Langston found mine.
I took care of him.
He found mine. I had it. Never been worn before, but he had it. Brought it back out.
I got the big leather one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's
I don't know what happened to that one. That's what I thought I was gonna be wearing. I don't
Not a
know.
bad one there. Hey, come here.
Break,
Have you
you know.
seen the little?
He's gonna break all my records anyway. You know? He's got
I
like,
can only hope. I'm working for it.
you got like 6 years of eligibility.
Eli Manning's personality might make him seem like an ordinary guy, but his impact on the Ole Miss community is anything but ordinary.
Ole Miss and it can't be separated from Oxford. And Oxford and Ole Miss had changed quite a bit since the late 1970s.
Oxford has grown enormously over the last 20, 30 years, and it's always been, in its one way or another, kind of a charming small town.
When I arrived in Oxford in '92, the square was a completely different animal than it is now.
Oxford experienced this renaissance in the late 90s, in the 90s, and it was starting to boom.
I think there's a market there for Ole Miss people who come up here for home football games. There's not enough motels and places to stay, for apartments and condos and type of thing.
All of a sudden it made sense to either invest in a house where their kids could live for a few years and then they could fix it up afterwards, and it could be a second home where they'd always have a place to stay on the weekends when they came up here, or just a simple investment for a few years. That all of a sudden takes root. And it, in my mind, it just made the perfect storm for Eli.
So we were excited that Ole Miss was kind of in his final three, and when he chose Ole Miss, we were very excited. Now, at the same time, I was a little concerned. I didn't want, you never know how you're gonna make the transition from high school, especially playing in 2A football in New Orleans, to the Southeastern Conference. And I didn't want Eli to have too much pressure or the expectations to be so high or be too tough. But his buddies in high school gave him a name that is so fitting. They called him Easy. And Eli's always been easy. That's kind of his personality. He's a little laid back.
When he had his chance, the little break in meetings, you had a joke or something funny from him. So if you know him, practical jokes, you always got to be ready.
One time I fell asleep and he colored behind my ears dark to where you couldn't see it. And I went out and about all day the next day and I had marker behind my ears. And you would get random people like looking at you funny. And finally somebody told me, so I was in the bathroom scrubbing away.
He and his roommate was another player. College guys, their apartment. We'd go in and his mother's probably gonna clean it up a little bit. I'd help. But I'd just go in and maybe some stuff laying around, I'd pick it up. And he would see me doing that and he'd go in behind me and just throw it right back there. If I'm picking up socks or something, he'd take them and throw them right back there too.
We used to karaoke a lot. Eli showed me the ropes of karaoke. I saw him karaoke in public one time.
Living like a low at the radar phone, looking like a trend, like a video band.
It doesn't matter to him that, maybe some folks feel like he ought to, purport some sort of image of cool, that he doesn't care if he stinks at singing. He loves to do what he loves to do.
Fortunately for the Rebel faithful, one of the things Eli loved to do was win football games.
Ole Miss has whipped Alabama 27-24 here in Oxford today.
His time here really began to put Ole Miss on the map as a credible program, but certainly the camera exposure illustrated to the world what Oxford was. It's been the last 20 years that those camera crews ended up here, B-roll footage, college game day, broadcasting from out there. The Grove is synonymous now nationally with the gold standard for what tailgating, should look like. And that's largely due to the exposure that we get.
It was a campaign. I was helping Dr. Kayet with, we were raising money for athletics. It was Eli's first game as a starter in sophomore year at home, and we had an appointment that morning, a breakfast appointment over at the chancellor's house with two prominent lawyers who were capable of giving some good money to this drive for athletics. And the day before, they'd gone to look at some condos. And so one of them was telling Dr. Kayet now the story, saying, we looked at them and we liked them, but I told the young guy who showed them to us, said, they're a little pricey. Don't you think they're a little high? He said, I won't tell his name, Mr. So-and-so. He said, if Eli has a good year, this real estate market's gonna go crazy.
Eli had a tremendous effect. The business people probably call it the Eli effect because there was a boom in housing. But there were other things going on that were contributing to that boom. But Eli was the name that was associated with it.
It was an important era of which Eli was an important part in the development and identity of this community.
Within 5 or 10 years, I feel like our enrollment almost doubled at Ole Miss. I think that kind of shows you how Ole Miss can kind of go along with the team's successes. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot more options to eat from before. When we got to Ole Miss and we left, you had a lot more places to eat, probably more hotels, everything, because it was a good show going to Ole Miss football game.
When you really funnel it back to, where it started with the seed of Archie in the late 60s and the early 70s, but it doesn't really blossom until Eli gets here in the 90s and into the early 2000s.
But gosh, hadn't he represented our university well, with class and dignity? And to me, if you had one Ole Miss football player that you would hold up to the world and say, he's good, he's classy, he's ours, it would be Eli Manning.